So hello and welcome to the 38th episode of the Spotlight Podcast, the unofficial podcast for Century 21 sales representatives in Canada, where we discuss the hot topics and important news in the real estate industry. So I'm your host, Linas Kilius. With me, as always, is Eryn Richardson. How's it going, Eryn?
Good. Linus, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Eryn is a broker and general manager with Century 21 Heritage Group. Eryn has an extensive background in online marketing, technology, and customer service. And I'm the head of business development at the real estate marketing company Homeania. So you're a new agent. The business can be daunting to get started in. You've got the drive, but very little experience, very few leads, and the feeling that you're a fish out of water. So who do you turn to? Brokers, management trainers are great resources, but what about your peers? Other agents at your office are invaluable assets when starting out in real estate. So how do you leverage them as a resource? On the flip side, if you're an experienced agent, how can you utilize new agents to help further your business? Mentoring has its benefits for both sides. Before we talk about this, Eryn, what's been going on with Home Trust? We were talking about this a bit before off camera there. The company's been in the news quite a bit recently.
Yeah, so Home Capital, I guess, is the parent company, and Home Trust is a part of the Home Capital. And I guess in general, and I'm not an expert in any of this, but just what I've been following with regards to the whole Home Capital stuff is their stock fell drastically. I guess they've had some issues with some fraudulent brokers and whatnot. Not that it doesn't happen at every bank, but they let a couple of their big brokers, I guess, off their system because of the fraudulent stuff back in 2014. And then there was allegations that maybe they didn't disclose to their shareholders all the details of that. So, there's been some problems there, and then I know they had something to do with their deposits being withdrawn, or they've lost some not lost, but some deposits had, I guess, not been either given, or I'm not sure exactly how it works, but anyway, so all this is in the media, and the fact that they have to borrow $2 billion from, and they're doing, I think, from RBC. At a 22% interest rate, I guess effective interest rate 22%, and they've just removed, I guess, $1 billion of it at 10%, and so all the sort of stuff that's happening, but it's not good for that company, obviously.
So how does this affect real estate agents in general? Why should anyone really be concerned in the industry about these issues going on with Home Trust?
And that's where I guess a bit more of my knowledge comes in the sense that Home Trust has always been we consider a B lender, which is, a higher ratio, people that, might need certain packages in order to get those type of mortgages in order to get approved. And they've always been a good sort of, I guess, a lender to go to. And apparently the largest B lender in Canada. So, on our side, this may affect things because they've really tightened up. I mean, obviously, they want to make sure that things are now going smoothly, and so just tightening up all their lending practices. They make sure everybody's doing things properly and above board. So, which should have been done from the beginning, but you will get a lot of maybe agents that have clients that aren't maybe getting their money the right way. And
I was wondering how you're going to say that politically.
and if you're selling the house, you just have to, again, make sure you're qualifying and make sure, ask where their money's, where have they been pre-approved. I mean, we never really went into huge detail on the buyer's finances before. We'd ask, do they have a pre-approval, maybe give us a letter, that sort of stuff. But some of the questions might now be, who are you lending through? What type of mortgage are they getting? Are they going through a traditional bank? Are they having to go to trust companies, and are you using a broker? All all those nice questions you can ask when somebody's in a listing presentation and, an offer presentation, and you have buyers that are submitting these offers.
How frequent? I mean, you were saying that Home Trust is probably the top, or maybe not top, but the most popular B lender in Canada. Is this a very popular route that a lot of clients potentially go to?
I think so. I think it is. I wouldn't say it's, all the business that's happening, but it's a good, I've always heard of Home Trust, and that's always the name that gets thrown around in terms of, like, you hear First Line and Home Trust and some of the other ones that are out there. But I know it's a big one, and I know that speaking to the mortgage brokers that I deal with and the people that I know, they're saying, yeah, that's going to have an effect. It's going to be a little bit harder. They were sort of a go-to for these type of mortgages.
So if you're working with someone who tells you, yeah, I've been pre-approved through Home Trust, what would you say to them, or what would you do in that situation?
I would say great, because now everything's so, if you've been approved or maybe have a full approval, that's a good thing. I mean, I'm sure they've tightened it up so much that they're probably harder to get a mortgage through now than some of the other ones. So there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, there is some uneasy feelings about whether or not that company is going to stick around, but all the brokers saying the same thing. Oh, they'll still be around, whether or not they get bought out eventually, or whether or not they get, but it's too big of a lender in order for even the government to allow it to go under. Obviously similar to what the US. And you hear some of the stuff in the media. Again, media can blow things out of the water on things, but I listened to one guy said, yeah, this is exactly what happened in the US, and the sky is going to fall again. And he was saying this is the start of what happened down there, and the big bubble and all this sort of stuff. And of course, I think clearer heads are leveled after a few days, and there was some more media that was like, yeah, no, this isn't, we're a completely different situation than when the US was in with insured back mortgages and all this sort of stuff. So.
Oh, for sure. It's a completely different situation.
No,
I don't think the sky is falling at all in this case.
No. But, you will see some media out there that will make it seem that way. And I don't know if it's the timing and whether or not this was a timing and a political move in order to bring this stuff up so that it does have a bit of an impact on certain, like the Toronto market, for example, that it's got a boom going right now. So just to kind of ease the markets. But it's definitely the stuff that's in the news right now. I mean, you'll hear a lot of it. So.
Yeah, you always have to be careful of the news cycles too. It's in the news outlet's best interest to make things seem more enticing, right? Especially of late, it seems that is becoming more the trend too. So you just have to take things with a grain of salt when you hear them in the media, and make sure you temper expectations on whatever they're talking about.
Now I'll jump on the other side and say I think it's only going to get worse.
Oh no.
Now, I do believe this mortgage fraud thing is a lot bigger than people think. And it's not just Home Trust that it's happening with. A lot of lenders are letting things through without doing their due diligence to check and make sure verified income. They're providing letters that are falsified. And I know that happens. I didn't realize it until I got into the management end of things and start to see a lot of transactions happen. But I'm looking at income letters, and real estate agents that are trying to do things the right way are bringing these income letters and saying, I don't think this person makes this much. And we look into it, and it is mortgage fraud. And we put an end to it. And I think, we'll just call somebody that takes care of this. And it looks like every place that I look, whether it's the mortgage industry has something called FISCO. It's the same as RICO in the real estate industry. And it seems that everybody's afraid to blow the whistle and go to FISCO. One, because they feel maybe it's not going to be looked after. But second, because as soon as you talk to them, they look at you. And you don't want people to look at you that's, might want to go through all your stuff. So it doesn't seem like it's a system that's functioning very well right now. And I'd be a little concerned on that end of things that that some more of this mortgage fraud stuff's going to come to light and curb a little bit of the market. I mean, if you're out there and you're a real estate agent, you think that something's wrong, don't go through the transaction. Somebody's going to get burned at some point. And there's going to be either jail time or there's going to be major fines. So be very careful.
I almost think this might make for a good show on its own too. Maybe we should bring an expert in as a guest and talk about this in detail in a future show. But that being said, let's get into our main segment, shall we? We're talking about peer networking as a new agent particularly, or as an experienced agent, taking on newer agents and mentoring them. So, Eryn, is it important to network with your peers in the industry, or can you do it on your own?
Oh, you can do it on your own, I guess. But if you want to make it go a lot smoother and look for better opportunities and ways to improve and learn and all the rest of it, it's best to definitely network within your own the agent community, we'll call it.
So if you're a new agent, you're coming in, you're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but you don't really know anyone at the office, maybe outside of the people that recruited you or the trainers. How do you start networking amongst your peers? Is it just a matter of chatting to people at the office? How do you breach those? Everyone's busy, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing is some of them some of the agents that you might want to reach out to, you're going to get the sort of door closed fairly quickly. They just don't have the time to speak or network amongst the people that are in the offices. But I think there's a lot of agents that do also help. So you maybe go to your manager and ask the best ones to contact or talk to. But there's a lot of other groups and stuff that you can reach out. If you're into social media, Facebook's a great opportunity. I'm on a Facebook group called Real Estate Hacks, and it's a very good group to throw out some questions and talk amongst the 7,000 members that are on there, which is quite a robust group of people to pick their brains and see that what they're talking about in the industry. So I really like that one. Those are good for information. But you still have to get face-to-face with a lot of real estate agents. So attending network events. So I'm going to mention a couple that I've done over the years. Obviously, Realtor Quest with the Toronto Real Estate Board's a good one. 40,000 agents get together once a year just to kind of go through all the different industry stuff. So you meet a lot of people there. Realtor Fest, which is another TREB thing. So the boards often, and this is across Canada, all the boards will have social events. So attend the social events, get involved within the board, because you will be able to, get a lot of good information from the people there. There's something called the Young Professional Network. Again, it's more of a Facebook group, but they do have events. Barbecues, so within your company, internal company events, that sort of stuff, just to name a few.
So let's say you get in there and you start making a lot of friends, you start networking a lot. What kind of information or what kind of resources are you looking for when you're networking amongst your peers to turn these ultimately into business development for yourself?
So I think the biggest thing that agents want is leads and business. Obviously, information and training and stuff like that's great, but when you're networking amongst the agents, people don't often think that there's a lot of opportunities there within your own agent community, not just in the public, to get leads. So some of the things that you might want to do is ask if you can do some open houses for them. When you get, I guess more, or they get more comfortable with you doing open houses and they see some success with you, they may even ask you to, look after their stuff when they go on vacation. There's some opportunities there to make some money. They'll do a 25% referral fee, or maybe they'll split something 50-50, or helping out. That gains you experience as well as gives you some money in the pocket. And then there's obviously opportunities there to go out and do door knocking, cold calling, those type of things that you don't really want to do by yourself. It's always more motivational when you can get somebody else that's kind of helping you, push you along. And, if you're going to meet at 9 o'clock in the morning and you're meeting somebody else instead of just yourself, you're more likely going to show up. So, that's always good too. So even like-minded, you don't have to go for the top producers, or you don't have to, network just with the experienced agents. Brand new agents in the business is a great idea too. And that's actually how I started. I partnered up with somebody that was new in the industry, and we both started looking for business together, and we pooled resources.
What if you are one of those top producers and maybe you think that you don't have the time for these new agents? Are they a useful resource for you too? You mentioned being able to take some load off your shoulders, potentially doing some open houses for you, or maybe forging a business relationship there. Is there an advantage here for the more experienced agents?
Yeah, I always looked at who was coming into the industry, and if there was any great talent that could work either great on our team or just to work alongside with. And they're always looking and hungry for business. They're really energetic, and they're willing to work hard. So if you are willing to give a little bit of your time up to mentor and coach and train, then I think it'll come back tenfold when they start doing deals, and you can get a percentage of those deals because you've got a nice either team relationship or just a referral relationship. You can start handing the leads. A lot of busy agents in the office, a little too busy sometimes. So why not work smarter, not harder, and refer some business off to some key people that then can trust, that put together the deal, and then you'll get 25% or more, even half of what they're making just by handing over a referral.
And should you be looking outside the brokerage at all too, or just is it better to look within your own brokerage for peers to lean on for resources. So you mentioned a few, conferences and stuff put on in the public and Facebook groups and such too. But is it? I guess obviously there's a bit of a higher barrier if you're approaching agents that aren't part of your brokerage. But is that something that should be done too, or
hey, if you want to get in the good books with your owner and maybe get some leads from the company if they have a lead generation program, the best thing to do is look outside, because if you can bring in people to the brokerage, and a lot of brokerages have some plans there where you might make some extra money off the side too if you recruit within or bring people into the brokerage. So if there's some talent outside, it'd be excellent to bring them and get them on board with your company, right?
Yeah, I guess so. What about some more online resources? You mentioned Facebook groups and such too. Do you have any other resources, or like what kind of information are you looking from there too? Is it just the same kind of thing, just forging relationships and potentially growing your business that way?
Yeah, I think Facebook is probably the most that I use. LinkedIn is also good. It's more of a professional end of things, so you're less about your cats and dogs and more about business. But so that's always good. If you establish yourself well online, the agents within let's say the sphere online will tend to look to refer you business as well. So I'll just use Jill Price as an example, and Jill is all over Real Estate Hacks. So if you join that site and you see Jill Price, she's commenting daily and daily and daily, and she's just this lonely real estate agent up in Bancroft, which is way north of Toronto, and but she gets all the referrals from Toronto. I bet you she does a huge business from the networking and referrals she gets from the people that know her, because she's always engaging on that. So if you're looking to give referrals, to receive referrals, those type of networking sites are great. I mean, Facebook is I think would be the best one, but there are other things too. I think in the past shows I've brought up different networking apps, even like Meetup, or I think was one of them, and some apps about it's about networking. And one a couple of the networking groups are real estate agents that get together at the local pub. So you can get there and go there and end up meeting up with just people within your own area, different brokerages, and just having a drink and talking real estate.
Yeah, sure. Do you think it's worthwhile taking the initiative to, set up maybe like these kind of groups or whatever too, or should you just jump in on ones that are pre-existing too? Like even among networking groups amongst the office, I guess maybe you can set up, meeting like a group with all the new agents at the office kind of thing to spitball ideas. Like, is this something that might be another idea as well, or should you just?
Yeah, because sometimes you look and see what's available. There's just nothing. You've looked around, you've talked about it, and all the rest of it amongst the agents, and nobody's given you any really good direction. So why not start it yourself? If it isn't there, build it, and maybe that's something that you can really spearhead. Obviously, if you organize the group and if you manage it, the chance of you getting more referrals or you getting more information, it'll come back tenfold. So I tend to think that if you're starting it, you're gonna benefit the most.
Yeah, well, it seems like we've got a few good ideas for new agents looking to do networking, how to get started. Is there anything else that you might want to mention too before we close up the show?
Some of the top producers out there like to they wouldn't turn down a free lunch. Put it that way. So, or a free dinner, so maybe even invite them out to lunch and say, listen, I'll just take you out to a nice restaurant for lunch. I just want to pick your brain, see what you do differently in your business. And you'll be surprised, if you do take some of these people out, they're like, yeah, nobody's asked me to do this before. Everybody's sort of usually intimidated by them or something, and you invited them out. So there's a great opportunity to take these people out for lunch, and don't be afraid to do it. Don't be afraid to ask. You will get some no's, just like door knocking. You're gonna have some people to close the door, but it's a numbers game. If I've seen some really successful new agents come into the business, and here's the biggest one, like show up, come into the office. If you're here, real estate agents are coming in and out all day long. So if you have an office where you can park yourself and I'm not saying spend a lot of time just talking to everybody every day and not getting any work done, but that's part of your time blocking. Spend a couple hours every day walking around the office, talking to the agents, and see what's happening in the industry. You'd be surprised just through osmosis what you'll just something just came up from, I have somebody for that. And, you're just talking and networking, and it definitely is a good business practice as well.
Well, I guess, being in real estate is fairly social in terms of a profession, right? Most people are getting in real estate probably because they're a people person, at least you'd hope so.
You'd hope. Yep.
So everyone else who's in it too. I mean, like, they might be busy and such, but they've got that type of personality. You'd assume in most cases. And like you said, no one turns down the free lunch. I think the best advice I ever got from someone was never turn down free food, and I've been trying to live by that for most of my life. So
one of the things too. Sorry, before we close off, agent open houses and public open houses. Excellent source of information. You should be seeing houses anyway. I am surprised how many people get into the industry and don't go out and see houses. That's your product. You need to know the market, and they're not out there. So either book pre-inspections, which is always good, or if your community does have agent open houses, get out to them, talk to the agents, network amongst the agents, and then network amongst the agents that are hosting the open houses. Go in and spend a half hour talking about business with whoever's got the open house going. It's a great way to meet people in the industry.
For sure. Well, I'm excited too, because I feel like we've got a new topic for an upcoming show now, talking about the mortgage fraud. So completely different from what we're talking about today. But I think we've got a lot of good information here for those new agents looking to expand their networking group and learn, and just trying to figure out how to get their foot in the door. So if you like the show, you can subscribe to us on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasts online. And please don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on those sites. You can watch this and past shows at spotlight.century21.ca/podcast. If you need to reach us, you can email us anytime at podcast@homeania.com. That's podcast, HOM as in Mary, EAN as in Nancy, IA.com. So this podcast is brought to you by the Spotlight Marketing Program, an exclusive marketing package available only to Century 21 agents in Canada. Spotlight provides agents with a comprehensive internet marketing strategy for their listings. We provide high-quality HDR photography, stunning HD video tours, cutting-edge responsive website, and an extensive advertising system that helps sell their listings faster, sell them for more money, impress your clients, and generate leads. Find out why so many top agents are using Spotlight by visiting spotlight.century21.ca today. Eryn, thanks again as always.
Thanks, Linus.
Everyone, thanks for watching. Have a great week.